Hey guys, it's Emory. I'm just gonna talk about our study that our research team did throughout the semester about smartphone use and psychological well-being. Obviously, a big portion of not only our research team, but the U.S. and other countries as well use smartphones. It's become a very prevalent topic about how smartphone can affect well-being and other symptoms and stuff like that. So we just wanted to test the relationship between smartphone use. We had two separate studies. One was a correlational study, and then the second was to test a causal relationship between the two. We designed the study to analyze relationships between the smartphone use and positive and negative affect with life satisfaction. For study one, our research question was, how does active and passive smartphone use relate to positive affect, negative affect, and life satisfaction? We hypothesized that there will be a positive correlation between smartphone use and negative affect. But for study two, our research question was, how does the lack of smartphone use affect positive affect, negative affect, and life satisfaction? We hypothesized that there will be an increase in negative affect and life satisfaction if participants don't use their smartphones for a 24-hour period. So one was the continuous use of smartphones. The other one, we tried to cut out smartphones to fill that divide. This means that we just predicted a significant relationship between the two. For study one, we actually recruited participants from our research team's social media networks. They just found a survey on their social media and they went through it, and if they consented, they took a survey which included the Spain scale, the life satisfaction scale, and smartphone use measures that were all presented in randomized order. They were then thanked, and then they weren't incentivized for the participation. For study one, we measured smartphone use in 3 ways, which was actively, passively, and in total. Actively was kind of just anything like apps, communicating, anything like that. Passively was just setting alarms, checking time, notifications, and total was in total the amount of times you spent on your smartphone use within a day. From study one, we actually found that passive smartphone use and negative emotions were weakly positively correlated. Active smartphone use and negative emotions were also weakly positively correlated, and total smartphone use and negative emotions were moderately positively correlated. This just means that there was a significant relationship between smartphone use and negative emotions. The more people passively use their phone, the more negative affect would increase. So there actually shows that there was a relationship between smartphone use and psychological well-being. But this could show that this could be caused by a number of things. So for our next study, we wanted to test the causality of the relationship between smartphone use and negative affect, positive affect, and also life satisfaction. So for our second study, we actually had participants that consisted of our entire research team, which was all the students in our class, the TA, and our professor, Dr. Farrell. 21 people actually started the survey. 2 did not complete the survey, and then 5 reported that they used their smartphones outside of our exceptions, which were using it for an alarm, using it for an emergency, or for any required work tasks. And they didn't follow this protocol, so their data was actually just excluded from our reports. So the final study analysis consisted of only 14% of participants, and all of us weren't incentivized for our participation. So for this study, we actually had 2 conditions. We had a time 1 and time 2. Time 1 was that you could use your smartphone with no limitations, and time 2 was the well-being after 24 hours of no smartphone use. So we actually took a pre-survey for this one that just measured the extent of positive affect, negative affect, and life satisfaction within the last 24 hours under normal smartphone use, so just your day-to-day basis. Then after the survey, we had everyone go 24 hours without smartphone use, excluding our like alarms, emergencies, stuff like that. And then after these 24 hours of no smartphone use, we actually had them take the survey again that asked about the positive, negative affect, and life satisfaction from the previous 24 hours without their smartphone use. We conducted a paired samples t-test between time 1 and time 2, and these findings indicates that not using smartphone for the 24 hours actually reduced negative affect in comparison to normal smartphone use. And also, not using smartphones for 24 hours increased positive affect in normal smartphone use. So this actually went against my hypothesis. I thought that not using your smartphone use would actually increase your negative affect, but it turns out that not using your smartphone use actually increased your positive affect. And this could be by a number of things, but it does show that there is a causal relationship between your psychological well-being and your smartphone use. That your smartphone use could cause your well-being to go up or down. In this case, it went up. But of course, to Amy's study, we had some strengths and limitations. For study 1, we actually taking the pre-registration process of study 1 was a big strength, considering it allowed us to be inclusive of several dimensions and improved our use of our theory and a stronger research method. For study 1, we had a relatively large, diverse, and sample size, which addressed external validity, and the diverse population that participated in the study actually extended our results so it could be generalized to other situations and populations. And then running the correlational study allowed us to observe some variables that actually exist, increasing ecological validity. For study 2, since we presented the questions in a randomized order, this was a strength that helped control for order effects. Along with being able to order people to conditions and having a bigger sample size in study 2 was a big strength. But having a bigger sample size in study 2 would actually increase our power and provide more accurate estimates of effect size. So for study 2, limitation was probably that our study was so small, and then our time period for not using smartphone use was so little that it just didn't work. But yeah, considering how many people use smartphones, that has changed over the years. The current study, it just attempted to shed a light on how much smartphone use can have an effect on our well-being of a person. So this study actually helped a lot, just put into perspective that the two can be related. But thanks.